Good morning, everyone. Today is January 7th. Right now it's about 9:30. We're gonna get started with the replacing the radiator. As you can see, there's a leak right over here. We tried to fix it. I highly doesn't recommend anybody to try to fix a leak. I recommend everyone to replace the radiator. It saves them hassle and any problem arises from the future. All the safety apply. First of all, the car must be parked on the flat surface for the safety reason, and apply the e-brake. And because we are doing the radiator this time, there's a liquid involved in this process. So we move the first step. We move the. Okay. Anyway, I'm back. So first thing, you want to remove the negative battery because we'll be dealing with the fluid. Earlier, we did the oil change. We don't have to remove the battery because oil had nothing to do with the battery. But in case if any liquid touched the battery, it's bad for you. So, you don't want to get electrocuted. So first step, remove the battery. Also, for the safety reason, park on the flat surface, and you don't really need to jack up your car because it's pretty easy process. So negative battery for the first step, and then second, have a bucket right there. Have a bucket underneath the car next to a drain plug. Let me try to show you the drain plug. Let me see. Where is it? Oh, right there. This is drain plug right here, right underneath the car. Most cars it's all underneath, so I'm gonna try to remove this. After we remove this, all the liquid should fly out. Well, should all come out. I'm sorry, it's not really focused. So remove the drain plug. That's the first step. After drain plug, give a few minutes for all the liquid to drain out of the radiator. After that, what you could do at the same time is you could also remove this cap right here. You don't really need it. Put it on the side. So as you can see, it's pretty empty right now. So first step, remove the drain plug, and second, first step is remove the negative battery. Second step is remove the drain plug, and then after you remove the drain plug, you could loosen up, remove all these tubing. These things are actually it's clamp. You could use a plier to pull the clamp out, and then remove this hose, this one right here. Both these are for transmission, to cool down the transmission. So transmission hose, remove these two, and then this big one going to your engine right here. This one right here. So there should be 3 of them on the bottom. Those 2 small ones and this big one, remove those. Use a plier and just remove the clamp out. And remember, even though you drain everything out of the radiator, there's still going to be fluids inside the tubing from the engine itself. So be expecting to have a lot of coolant coming out from that too. It's still going to be a messy job because you're doing it at home. So other than that, if you want, you could use a hose clamp to clamp this thing so that the fluid doesn't come out. It helps a little bit, but doesn't really help that much. So remove this. This actually go to your water pump. It circulate the radiator into the. So remove the water pump hose. These 2 hose towards the transmission. After those are done, what you could do is you could use a flathead screwdriver. Insert into this part right here, the bottom part, and then push down against it. Push inward, push down, and then this thing should pop out. So remove this one and this one. On the bottom one, there should be another one right over here. You also want to remove that too. So 3 of these. After you remove these 3, then you want to remove this one. There's also going to be coolant coming out too. So like I said, use a plier, squeeze it down, move it up, and then remove this thing. After you move these, the radiator is held down by these 2 bolts right here. Remove these 2 bolts. Man, I can't think right now, but anyway, Yeah, just remove these two bolts and this thing should just come out. After it come out, you just remove this whole thing. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna get started and then I'll show you afterward. Okay, I want to get you an update. So these are the two that I removed, as you can see. And instead of removing this thing on the bottom, I decide to remove the top one right here. It's easier for me to get to it, the clamp. So I remove the top one instead of removing the bottom one. And then these two, I remove the bottom one, but instead I could, you know, if it might also be easier if you just remove these two as well, and then have the hose go along with the radiator, and then pull the whole thing up. I know that some people actually take out the fan first and then remove the radiator, but I decide to have the fan on the radiator and then just remove the whole thing by itself. So this is the new radiator and this is the old one with everything on it. So what you do right now is that you want to remove this sensor. This is the fan sensor. So if the engine get really hot, what it does is it sends a sensor to the fan to turn on the fan so that it'll cool down the radiator. So right now we want to remove this hose and put it on the new one. Remove this clamp right here and go directly. I'm sorry. Remove the sensor and then go directly on here, and then this is the hose for it. And yeah, basically put everything back. They have a drain plug right here. This is the drain plug. Yeah, it also came with the radiator cap already. This is the old drain plug earlier. I guess it was leaking so bad that the radiator didn't have a lot of fluids left. So I could see, as you could see, there wasn't a lot of radiator fluid. It wasn't even full. So yeah, and this is a 10 millimeter. Earlier when I removed the bolt, the thing that support the radiator, this is actually 12 millimeter. I forgot to mention. So just basically remove everything from the old radiator and put it on to the new radiator. And then yeah, I'll show you after this. Okay guys, this is the old radiator. I took the fan out, everything out of it, and this is the new one. We tried to put it in. For the sensor, I forgot to mention, you guys, do not over tight this, because you don't want to scrape the thread off. So if you do, it'll start leaking. Another thing I forgot to mention is that you got to remove this from the bottom of the old one and place it on top like that. It sits on it so that the radiator doesn't move. So there's another one on this side, and for this clamp right here, you might want to remove this when you remove this from the old one, because you don't want to twist the wire too much so that it might break it off. So what you do is you push against both inside, this side, the left side and the right side, push in, and then this thing should just come out. That's it. It's pretty straightforward. Put the old hose back on, and then now we just have to put this new radiator back into it. One thing you could do is that while you hold on to the those two soft spot that sit inside here, this opening, these two opening, so that the radiator doesn't move. What is this? Yeah, what you also could do is that when you put in the radiator, the radiator halfway, you could install these tubing. If you have the radiator set all the way down into the spot right here, it might kind of be hard to reach for it because the fan is kind of blocking it. So it's kind of hard to move these clamp in. So you could, while you're installing the radiator halfway, like when you're placing it down halfway, you could install these tubing in. And then the big tubing is pretty easy because I will move it from the top, so the bottom is actually in it already. And then after that, install this clip back on, and this tubing on top, this reservoir tubing back on, and that's about it. I'll show you after that. Okay guys, the radiator is done. Installation. All the hose on the bottom has been installed. Everything placed back. All the electrical wire has been installed, and these two hoses and the negative battery is back on. So right now what we just got to do is top it off with the coolant. Let's see what else. Also, you might want to top it off the reservoir tank. It's empty right now. Okay, few things that you want to do when you're filling up the coolant is that first, when the engine is off, pour all the coolant to the max. Turn on the engine. Have the heater as a max so that the engine will warm up as soon as possible, and then wait a few minutes, and then the fan will turn on as well. When you turn on the engine, you'll see the coolant will drop. Even though it's filled all the way to the top, you'll see the coolant will drop because the water pump will start circulating the coolant, and then because a lot of engines inside your engine block, this should be very little of coolant, so a lot of these coolant will go directly into your engine. So while the engine is running, you want to fill the coolant up, so have the engine circulate. You could speed up the process also by stepping on the gas or the throttle, so the water pump will be faster, because water pump is driven by the belt. So yeah, that's how you do it, and then leave it on running for a few minutes and top it off the coolant, and when you think it's ready, close the cap, turn off the engine, and then fill up the coolant reservoir tank. And that's about it. Thanks for watching. Also clean up all your tube. That's very important. Okay, that's all.